Is screen visible to you? Great. So the last session we were discussing about the compilers, how it works when you have a class or you have a coding of a class in the same file, or what will have if you have a dot class file in the same directory, or what will happen if you have a dot Java file in the same directory and all. So we have discussed that. That was the ending point. So so we had two .java files, first .java and second .java file in our program. Now, in this session, we are going to add some more details to our program that we have written in the last session. So let me open up the first notepad, first .java file. Exactly. Okay, fine. So So let's understand how to take an input from a keyboard. So our lectures are going to be linked with what we are doing. So there is always an intention how I pick up a point to discuss for a session. So I'm going to pick up something called as a package in this session and its class and its hierarchy. So to take a input from a keyboard, we have variety of options in Java. Uh, so I hope you are able to recall while discussing data structures, while discussing C++, many times I've said that in computer, if you are sending or receiving a data, that is just a stream of zeros and ones. So in doesn't matter in which language you are programming, there is always a stream of zeros and ones if you are sending or receiving a data. Doesn't matter what is the input and what is the output device. So whenever we want to read from a input device, let's say in our case right now, input device could be a keyboard. Again, it's a kind of a stream, input stream. So let's learn how to read from a keyboard. In the case of a Java, there are a variety of ways we can read input stream and from variety of devices, and we can have a customized approach of how we can read a value from a keyboard. So I am giving the option which is mostly used while reading from a command prompt program. So it is not compulsory to use this style. It is not what we can say uh, like mandatory to use the same style. There are variety of options. As we explore Java in detail, you will come across the other styles, and you are free to use any of the style that you want. The style that I'm going to share is quite a bit simple. So there is a package called as util, and in this package there is a class called as a scanner. Now this scanner class, I am right now going to explore, we are going to explore this scanner class in the terms of reading a value from a keyboard, but that is not the only use of a scanner class. Scanner class is designed to read from any device. So I'm here using the word read from any device. And what do you mean by read? There is a stream, either input stream or an output stream. So scanner is designed to read from an input stream. So right now we are going to make use of a scanner to read from a keyboard. Doesn't mean that it have a capability to read from only keyboard. No, it can perform variety of tasks. It have a wide range of applications. Right now we are using this, we are going to make use of the scanner class to just read from a keyboard. So keep that in mind. Now we'll understand what do you mean by import Java and util. Before that, let's complete the syntax of scanner, and then we'll explore each and every dot of that particular syntax in detail. So scanner is a class. Now in Java, if you want to, let's say this is the first is a class, and this is going to create an object in the case of C++. But Java is a language which do not allow to create an object on a stack. I am sure that you are able to recall this style of object creation. The simple object creation will allocate a memory on a stack area. And Java says that the objects in the case of strict OP, which is Java is, will get created only on a heap area. And now to create an object on a heap area, we know that we have to apply the keyword new, which will allocate a memory on a runtime. And Java changed one more strategy. In the case of C++, it was fine to create an object like this. It used to call a default constructor, but Java says that it's better to put the parenthesis while calling the default constructor. Whether you want to call a default constructor or you want to call a parameterized constructor, better use a parenthesis. Now I'm calling a default constructor in the case of first class. Now, like C++ only, Java also provides a default constructor if we are not writing our own constructor. So in the class first, as I'm not writing my own constructor, this particular call will make sure that there is a default constructor in the program which will be provided by Java environment, and that default constructor will be utilized by this constructor call. In the same way, as I say that scanner is a class, so if I want to make use of this scanner class, I have to create object of it. So I have to write scanner, let's say make use of SE, which will represent the object of scanner, and I'll say scanner. Now this is going to create object of a scanner class. Now, if we see the documentation of a scanner class, we will find that there are variety of options how we can initialize the object of a scanner class. Now, our intention is to read from a keyboard. To read from a keyboard, we have to pass something called as system.in. So this is an abstract version of input stream, and this leads your scanner class to have a control on input from keyboard. So as soon as you pass system, where S is capital, system.in as an argument to the scanner class, it will start reading from your keyboard input. Now there are variety of methods. Let's immediately use a method which will read a number from a keyboard. So I'll rename this println statement to something let's call as please enter a number, and then I'll say integer I is equal to let's say se dot next int, and it will read a number from keyboard, and then we can display this number on the screen. Let me write I. Okay, so even better style is the value of I is equal to. So this is how we can print the value of variable I on the screen. Now let's immediately try to compile, and then we will see the details of this. So Java C first dot Java, it should compile. It compiled, and if I run Java first, and if I hit enter, please enter a number is what the message we are getting. Now I'll enter 11, and if I print enter, the value of I is equal to 11. So this is how it works. Now let's go back to the program and understand few ground things. Now, if you can recall from the last session, I have written a method called as static void data. This was how we wrote the method, which was present in the class second. Now, the things to observe here is look at this method name data. Look at this method name main. This next is also a method of a class scanner. We are calling this method using object sc. Now look at the class name s scanner. S is capital. Look at the class name first, where f is capital. So Java have a ground rule. Ground rule is every class in Java, like default packages which are present in Java, will always start with a capital character. Now I am creating a class called as a first, so I should follow the standard that is specified by Java and make sure that the first letter of the class name is capital. And the second rule of Java coding is the method name should start with the small character. So that's why while writing the method name data, I prefer to make this D as a small character. You can see that in the default method, which is main, which is a simple, this is a full strict signature, and you can see that the main M is also small. Not only about this, let's look at this method which is going to read an integer from the keyboard. Next int is a method. You can see that the n is also small, whereas the next word in this call is starting with a capital character. So this is called as a camel case. So Java follows a camel case in the case of method names, where the first letter has to start with a small character and subsequent word in the method call will be the uh, capital letter. For example, let's say I want to create a method for, let's say, display marks is the method that I want to write. So I should write method name like this, disp marks. I have to follow this, where the method name starts with the small letter and subsequent word or the consecutive words in the method will start with the capital letter. Display marks, let's say display marks of all student that you want to do, then you will write display marks all like this. So all the subsequent words which are going to come in the method name has to start with the capital character. whereas the first word of the method name, first character of the method name must be a small letter. This is not mandatory. It's not like compiler is going to check for this all. If you start method name with the capital, if you do any combination of a capital and small characters, compiler will do just fine. If you write the class name with the small characters, everything in a class name is small, that's fine. Compiler will work fine. Not recommended. It's not recommended. We should not do it. If somebody looks at your Java program and if you're not following a Java standard, that's not a good case. So whenever we write a Java program, we'll make sure that we'll comply with the standards that are laid by Java while writing the program. So that is these are the two rules that we are learning now. The first rule is the class name should be always in capital first, as every word in the class name must start with a capital character. In the case of a method, the first word in the method name must start with a small letter and subsequent words will start with a capital letter. This is not mandatory, but it is recommended and we will follow that. Even Java is following it. How come we can say that Java is following? This class is from Java packaging and you can see that the class scanner starts with the capital letter. Is my point is very clear about the class name and method name, or there are any doubts? I need some quick responses in the chat window. Clear. Great. No doubts. Okay, so let's proceed. Uh, Now scanner class have many methods. Like let's say I want to read a number, I'll keep the text as it is, but I'll use only next. And here I'll write string s, and here I'll say the value of s is equal to s. I'll change everything. Now let me recompile and let's run this. And now let's type here kit and press enter, and then the value of s is equal to kit. So immediately we changed our program from reading the integer value to reading the string value. Now, how come, like, okay, I have used scanner class for many a time, so I know what are the methods which are belong to the scanner class. That's why I used it. But now let's say you are a new person, you have only this notepad with you and this command prompt with you. Then how come you will come across, how come you will find out what are the methods available with the scanner? Let forget about the methods. How you will find out what are the classes available for reading from a keyboard? So that is a big task. So Java has around about 5 to 6 thousand massive, huge library of classes, and each class have minimum 10 to 20 or about methods in which it supports, and these are the only methods which belong to that class. Also, Java is a hierarchical programming language. That means there is a lot of interconnectivity between the classes which are defined in the library. So what Java says is that I will provide you a documentation. Now what we can do is let's go to the web. Let me open up a browser, and here just I'll type JDK download. This is a Bing search engine. Probably I hope this will lead me to the same page. Else I will go to the Google search engine. Okay, fine. So Bing has led me to the same page. So here you can find there is a JDK download, and below that there is a documentation download available. So if you click on this documentation download, one file will be downloaded, which is a zip file. Let me go to the directory where I've already downloaded this zip file. So this is the file which will get downloaded once you download that. If you click on that download link, now in the directory, let me go to my software projects. Then my Java was the folder here. This is the actual location of the file. When I just say right clicked on this, when I right clicked on this, so after right clicking on this, I'll click on extract, and this docs folder will be there. Now, if you go inside this docs folder, you will find that there is a page called as index. So I'll right click on this index page and I'll go to open with section. Let me select the Firefox in this case. So the documentation will get open. Now you will find there is a lot of packages. We are going to come across most of these packages as we proceed in our learning. There is also a tab called as Java IC. There is also a tab called as JDK, which we are right now using while writing the program. And what are the sub packages which are belonging to JDK? Then you will, if when I clicked on this JDK tab, this index button gets enabled. See, take one care when you are in all modules, when you are in Java IDC, this time this index button is available. So if you go to JDK and if I click on this index, the index will come, right? Index will come. And now this is not a better representation. You are getting index of all. Now we are looking for a scanner, so I can directly go to this scanner S and find look for a scanner class. In the case of all classes, now I have a summary of all classes. Just you have to scroll down. This is a huge list, or you can just search for scanner and then it will lead you to the particular uh, class. So that's fine if you can do it. But the better approach to look at this documentation is, let me go to the, sorry, I have to, shortcuts not recommended, fine. So recommended approach is to use package view. Let me go to index again and select on packaging view. Now, if you look at our program, we are using a package called as java.util, right? So this is a package. Now we are going to look at what is a package in more detail. So like in C++, you when you people say hash include, and it will include a library from the it will include a classes from the library of C++ or C. In the same way, when we want to include a library class in the case of Java, we have to make use of this import statement. So I am saying what I am saying in this statement is import a library which is inside Java package. There is a sub package in Java package which is called as util. From this util package, I am interested right now in the scanner class. If you want to import all the classes from util library, you can prefer to write import util dot star. When you write star, it will import all the sub packages from the util library. When you specify a specific class, then it will import only one class from that library. So right now I am interested only from reading a keyboard. So why to import an entire library? So it's a better way to import only scanner class. So I wrote like this. Otherwise you can write like this also, like put a star and everything will be available. Now let's go to all package summary. You have to look for Java. So Java packages start. You can see that there are a lot of packages. We are going to come across most of them as we proceed. So let me go and look for something called as java.util. So here you can find something called as java.util. So if I click on this java.util, you can find these are the interfaces and there is a class summary which belongs to this class. So these are the supported or inheritance relations with these classes, and there is a scanner class. Now if you click on this scanner class inside the util package, you will find that how to create an object, and you can find the exact same signature that I have used. Also, the example that I have used in this our session was from this documentation, like creating an integer I and then reading a value. Now, if you scroll down in this class summary, you will come across the constructors this class can support. So here you can see that scanner class can accept something called as a file. So it can read from a disk for sure. And then there is a scanner class which says input stream. Now, as I said, system.in call, this system.in call is a dummy call to for an input stream or a very specific call of an input stream which will give you access to the keyboard input stream. Whereas in scanner class in reality have a constructor which says I will accept input stream and source. So we said that my source is going to be keyboard. Now you can change that source to be a file. You can change that source to be a network. You can change that source to be any device which is connected to your computer. Like here you can see that the path is also available and the string cassette and all. So the scanner class have a lot more capabilities. uh, we are using it to read from a keyboard, but that's not the only application of a scanner class. Make that very clear in your mind. Now I have selected a scanner class. If you scroll down, you'll find the methods which are supported by scanner and their details. Now lots of methods. Again, we are going to make use of these methods very soon. Now if I scroll down, you will come across the method which is next. I just used it, and you can see that it says return string. There is also a method called as next line. Let's scroll down a bit. These are the options that are available with the methods. Now here is the next int method which is going to return int, and you can see that there is also a method called as next line which is returning string again. So there are two methods which will return string, next, and there is also a method called as next line. But in the case of next line, you will return entire line. In the case of next, you will return only one token. Like suppose you have typed my name is KIT. In the case of next, it will return only my. In the case of next line, it will return in the entire statement my name is KIT. Fine. So I hope you got what is the documentation, how to get it. Then you should extract it and then open the index.html file and then make use of this documentation while writing the code. Now I want you people to try out this scanner class once the lecture is completed with the different methods. Explore them, and if you have any problems, we can have a discussion along the next session. I hope you got the what is the documentation, how to get it, and how to use it. Are any doubts on the in the case of documentation, or we are all set to for the documentation? Great. So get this documentation along with your JDK kit, extract it and make use of it. Now let's go back to the coding. So I'll just close this all everything. These are our two windows that we are making use of. So now let's have some short QAs immediately. Now this is a bit quick revision and understanding the concepts, what like how the OP works. So I'm going to make use of, okay, right, let me. So one more thing, I know that some of the answers are going to come wrong, and I want those answers. Wrong answers are welcome, no problem, because if you give me answer, then only I'll be able to hit exactly the point which has to be corrected. Now, like I'll make use of a variable k, and then I'll say system.println, and I'll just say key. Now, what will be the output in this case? Let's think in the terms of C and C++. What will be the output of this program? I hope you are not trying the program and then guessing the output. That will take a lot of time. So just one variable and we are trying to display a garbage. Okay. Garbage value. Okay. So two answers I've got is error. Aditya, you have tried Aditya? Error is a very specific answer you are giving. So it's going to be a errors. Okay, Shubham Jain said that it's a 0. Another good answer. It might be a 0. Okay, great. So this is going to give error, people, right? So let me first try CLS. Let's clear the screen. Then let's say Java C and then first dot Java. And it says that variable k might not have been initialized. So again, I like Java compiler pretty very much, because it is a very pretty good while giving the error and its location and telling us what could be the solution. So look at the error message, it's very nice. uh, because of garbage collector, no, this is not an error because of a garbage collector. Garbage collector is a very different story. We'll see what is the garbage collection is a different story. So Aditya is guessing that this happens because of garbage collector, and in reality that's not a correct answer. No. So error is fine, it's a correct answer, and let's see why the error has occurred. So look at this error message. It says that the error is in the file first.java. The line number is 6 where the error has occurred, and the error is there is a variable k which might not have been initialized and you are trying to use it, and this is the exactly pain point, and it says that there is one error. So Java compiler is a pretty good in giving the error information. So what it tells us is that we can't use a variable without assigning a value to it. Now look at this integer k. Unless and until you initialize this variable k, you can't really make use of it. And now I'm sure that you are able to recall from the first lecture that I said that there was a pyramid at the bottom. We said that okay, you already know it, and then the second pyramid brick was saying rather it's a strict OP because everything is inside a class. And then I say that it's a strictly typed language. A strictly typed language, Java is a strictly typed language. So what it does is, as we proceed, the more flavors and more rules and regulations will come up. Now, this is the first rule that we are encountering because of strictness of Java. What strictness of Java says is that you can't use a variable without initialization. You can't use a variable without initializing it. Now what has happened is we have declared a variable k in the main method, but we haven't assigned any value to this variable k, but we are trying to make use of it while displaying. So Java is preventing us from accidental use of variables which are not in a proper state or which are not in a proper value format. So if I just initialize this variable and if I compile the program compiles because now Java knows that we have initialized the variable. Or I should not print the value of this variable. I have declared a variable, but I'm not using it. I'm not initializing it. Also, I'm not using it. In this case, also the program will compile. So Java is a strictly typed language which makes sure that the variables which are not initialized, you must not use them. If you use them anywhere accidentally, the compiler will complain that the variable you are using is not initialized. So that's how the Java becomes strict. Now let me do one small change. Let me put a comment on this, and I'll add a k variable in the class. So k variable is added in the class. Now I'm sure that you know that this is a member of a class, and to access a member of a class, we have to create a object of a class. So let me create quickly object of class first. New first. Right, so this created the object of class first, and the object name is obj. Now using this obj, I can access the variable k. Now what I'll do is I'll say object dot k, and I'll try to display the value of k. Now what should happen? What do you think? Again, I need quick answers in the chat box. Null. Okay. Error. Shabdashree has typed the answer as 0. Okay. Aditya is saying error. Okay. Anyone else? 0 from Janvi. Okay. K is private from Shubham Jain to everyone. Because K is private, that's why it's an error or null. No output error is occur from Priyanka. Then Shravani is also saying error. Then Harshit is saying not initialized. Okay, great. So let's go and try to compile. So it works. Now, how come this worked? Again, we are not using any assignment. Still, it worked. Let's see what value it prints. So it says 0. So the second rule in the Java, the members of the class are always initialized to its default value. In the case of numbers, the default value is going to be a numeric value, which is 0. In the case of string variables, the default value is going to be null. Or in the case of even objects, the default value is going to be null. So your variables of a class will always have some value, default value in them. In the case of k, which is a numerical variable, the default value is 0. So that's why when we are printing object.k, the value 0 got printed on the screen. Fine. So that's why this is not error. Again, a flavor of Java, like the member of a class always have a variable, a value. This works in the C++ also, by the way. If you try latest C++ compilers, and if you have members inside a class, and even if you don't assign a value to them, you will find the default value is coming. Like if there is a number variable, like an integer, the value may come as 0. And if there is a character, maybe there is a for example character array, and then if you are not initializing it, it may come with the value of null. If you have a string variable, it also may come up with the value of null. It may happen in the C++, but just you must have advanced or the latest GCC compiler. So the same phenomenon is followed in Java. When you have a member of a class, you have the default value for a numeric type as 0, whereas other numeric type will have default value as null. So program compiles allow you to use it. And now the k have a default value of 0, which is quite printable. So system.out.println worked and it printed 0 on the screen. Now let's do one more tweaking with the program. Now I'm sure that you understand this is going to call a default constructor. It is going to call a default constructor. Now let me write my own default constructor, public first. And I'll write only one line in this default constructor, and the line is k++. Now, obviously, what will be the output? Again, quick responses in the chat box. What is going to be the output in this case? 1. That's right. So, of course, 100% we are going to get output as 1. Now, let me do one more thing. First, obj, let's call it as 2 and new first. And let me save the program. And let me copy this. Let me paste it. And here I'll say 2.k. Now what will be the output? What will be the output? 1, both 1, 1, 1. So I liked it, guys. So you got this. So it's really nice movement for me that I don't have to explain this to everyone. Yeah, so it's you got the output. So I will not go into detail. Now we know that every object is going to have its independent copy of the key. Initial value of a variable key is to set to 0. So first object comes, initialize it to 1. Then the second object also come. It have its own copy of k, and then again it increases it. That's a great thing. Now one more small modification. Now what will be the output? Again, I need quick answers. 1, both 2. Okay, 1, 2. Nikhil Jogai saying 1, 2. Atharva Deshpande is also saying 1, 2. Okay, any other answer? 1, 2. Rahul Koth is saying only 2. Harshit Doshi is saying 2. Tejaswini Podar is saying 1, 2. So we have to dive into this concept. Both 2. Okay, so both output are going to be 2 in our case. Okay, so let's check the output. So both the object.k and object2.k both are going to print 2. Let me show you. So it says 2 2 as an output. So 2 2 is the correct answer. Now let's reason it. Why is it so? Why it's coming as 2 2? So let me open up a paint immediately. So whenever you load a class, when you use program execution start, a class template is loaded in the memory. And this class template have information about what kind of variables are available in a class. So in our case, there is a variable called as k. There is a variable called as k, right? And this k have template value, let's say as 0. This k have a template value, which is initial value as 0. Now, as this key have initial value as 0, what we are doing next in the program is we are creating an object. The object creation calls the constructor and the object becomes available. Now, when we create an object of the class, the object have its own memory. Let's say this is object. Now it is going to have its own address. Let's say 0x0 is the object memory. This is the memory in which the object is created. Now, this object will decide how to refer this key. Now, if this key is non-static, then this object will take copy of this. It will create a copy of this. It will not refer the same thing. It will literally copy the value of k from the class template into its own memory. So this is what happens if the k is non-static. So this k was 0, and then in the constructor the line was k plus plus. So later, as soon as k plus plus executed, the value became 1. So after k plus plus, the k became 1. So k becomes 1. So we know that k is equal to 0. If you do it k plus plus, it becomes 1. After that, we are creating a second object. So when you create a second object, again it copies the value from the class. It creates a copy of k in its own memory. So when it creates a copy of k, the default value of k was 0, and now in the constructor of object 2, again you are saying k plus plus. So here also the k plus plus will work, and we know that 0 means 0 plus k plus plus means it's going to be 1. So in this case, this both objects are copying the value of k. But as soon as you make this variable static, one thing changes. What changes is, let me take a home. Let me call it as a non-static key variable. So if we make a key variable static, one thing is going to change. Thing is, again there is a class, again there is a template, class template, which have key to 0, of course, and this is a memory. Of course, I should put it, let me put it in a box because it's a memory. Now again we are going to create an object. Again it's a static, but the nothing has changed, so we are creating two objects. So I create another object, obj. It has some address inside it, and now the difference is, as soon as it reads that I have to access key, there is a variable k and there is a k plus plus, this object do not copy the key value of k. Instead of that, it creates a reference. It's a difference, guys. Now here you are copying. Now here you are not copying, you are referring the value of k, same value of k. So here this k was 0 and you said k plus plus. So you created first object and you said k plus plus. After you say k plus plus and you are not copying it like this, you are not copying it. You are not copying like this. This is a copy. You copied the value of class variable k in the object. Here you are not copying, you are referring. So this is the, okay, my meeting will end in 5 minutes. If the concept stops, we will start with the exact same point tomorrow, no issues. So here you are not copying, you are referring. So k plus plus makes this k equal to 1. Now this updated value of k has become 1. Now you go on in the program and you create another object, and this object also says k plus plus inside it. Now again this k is static, so your program is not going to create a variable, it's going to refer the same value. Now what is the value of k now? The updated value of k was 1. The updated value of k was 1, and this updated value gets encountered with plus plus, so k becomes 2. So new value of k is 2. Now after creating these two objects, object 1 and object 2, which both have incremented the value of k, which they are referring in the main memory, and now this 2 has got cancelled and been updated with value as 2 because two objects have incremented k each time they created. You have two println statements in the main method, which is system.out.println object.k and system.out.println object2.k. But look at this. This is object. What it says is I want to refer to k while printing. So what is k in this case? K has updated to 2. Now you are printing object2.k. Again, what is this k has changed? This k has changed to value 2 because you are referring the same variable from the class template. So that is a difference. When you say static, the same variable be referred by all the objects of the class. When you make the variable non-static, each object have its own copy of the variable. If you make the variable static, the same copy will get referred by all objects. If you make variable non-static, if you remove the static keyword, then each object have its own copy of the variable. If you make, let's say, if you directly modify this, first dot a is equal to 33, what will be the output in our case? Can you write the output immediately? What will be that 33? Yes, now you got the concept, because see, as you are directly saying access the k using class, you will modify the value of k here itself and you will put it as 33. Now after putting this k as 33, if you access using object 1 or object 2, it will print only 33 on the screen. Any doubts, or you got the concept of static and non-static? Everyone is clear with the static non-static member? Got it, got it. Great, great. So you people got the concept of static member. Repeated, Naneshwar Patil. So please unmute you, Naneshwar, yourself and tell me what you haven't got it. So I'll be able to answer it, or you can type it in chat box. Naneshwar, can you write what you haven't got? So I'll be able to answer it. Static, you haven't got? Okay, so let's repeat the static part. Did you really get the concept of non-static member? Is it fine for you? Is this concept fine? Static and non-static, you haven't got both? Really good. Okay. So I am not sure whether time will permit me or not. What I'll do is I'll upload this video on YouTube. Uh, Go and check this video after the lecture ends. I will try to cover this point in the same session. But if time gets ended, I will surely upload the entire session on YouTube, and you can go and refer it there, and we can have some conversation in the next meeting at the start of the session. So let's me quickly take a complete uh, new paint document. So whenever you have a class in the program, the class template gets loaded in the memory. So let's say you have a class template got loaded in the memory. Now this variable is a non-static variable, integer k.